The idea of heaven and hell has been deeply rooted in the teachings of various religions for a very long time. Heaven and hell are typically interpreted as realms of eternal happiness and suffering, respectively. On the other hand, what if these stories are not meant to be taken in a literal sense? As part of this investigation, we delve into a spiritual viewpoint that challenges the conventional interpretations of heaven and hell. This viewpoint proposes that heaven and hell are states of mind rather than destinations in the afterlife. Taking this viewpoint into consideration, it is suggested that God is synonymous with consciousness, and that the devil is a representation of the ego. If we are able to comprehend and become aware of our true nature, we have the potential to discover a profound sense of peace, love, and interconnectedness, thereby experiencing a heavenly existence here on earth. In the form of consciousness, there is a common tendency in traditional religious teachings to portray God as an impersonal and remote entity. The perspective that has been proposed, on the other hand, suggests that God is consciousness itself, the observer of nothing but everything. It has been argued that there is only one consciousness, and that this consciousness is both formless and available everywhere. Bodies, including our own, are considered to be vessels through which consciousness is able to express itself. Through the process of becoming conscious of our true nature, we are able to connect with the limitless and boundless essence that is God. The purpose of this is to break down the perceived separation between humanity and divinity, by highlighting the fact that God is not something that is external, but rather something that is an intrinsic part of each individual. Becoming aware of one's true identity. One of the most important aspects of this viewpoint is the idea of coming to terms with one's true identity. True awareness, according to this line of reasoning, is not something that can be identified with either the body or the ego. Individuals are able to detach themselves from the ego and the suffering that is associated with it when they come to the realization that the true self is the awareness of experiences. The narrative encourages a shift from saying, "I am the body," to saying, "I am aware of the body," highlighting the fact that there is a fundamental difference between the two statements. In accordance with the characteristics that are normally attributed to God, the awakened state is characterized as one that is characterized by peace, acceptance, and limitlessness. This is the devil, the ego. The ego, which is a component of the mind that is responsible for the development of feelings of inadequacy, fear, and suffering, is considered to be synonymous with the devil in this spiritual perspective. According to this line of reasoning, the only place where suffering can be found is within the confines of the egoic mind, which is fueled by thoughts that divert individuals' attention away from the here and now. Some people believe that the ego is the force that leads them to believe that they are not sufficient, which in turn leads to feelings of worry, anxiety, regret, and depression. When viewed in this light, hell is transformed into a mental state, a position of suffering that is brought about by the predominance of the ego. Jesus as a representative of the awakening. A number of parallels are drawn between the narrative and the teachings of Jesus, which suggests that Jesus, too, had an understanding of his divine nature. Jesus is portrayed as an awakened being who was aware that he was God, which is in contrast to the conventional depictions of religious figures. The expressions of forgiveness and love that he showed toward those who had wronged him are understood to be manifestations of his comprehension of the unconscious nature of their actions, which were motivated by the ego. The narrative serves as an illustration of how awakening can enable one to transcend suffering and make it possible to love and forgive without conditions. Unity and a sense of connection. The viewpoint places an emphasis on the oneness of all beings, arguing that every single person possesses the same fundamental nature as God. As a result of societal conditioning and conventional religious teachings, many people find the concept to be difficult to comprehend. On the other hand, the story contends that acknowledging this interconnectedness can result in a significant shift in perception, which in turn makes it possible to cultivate love and peace on a global scale. The vision depicts a world in which all individuals have attained enlightenment regarding their true nature, have overcome their egocentric limitations, and are living in harmony. There is heaven and hell on earth. Heaven and hell are rethought as mental states that are experienced in the here and now, rather than as destinations in the afterlife that are situated in the distant future. Some people believe that hell is a mental state that is characterized by suffering and is fueled by the dominance of the egoic mind. Heaven, on the other hand, is portrayed as a state of love and peace that people can enter by becoming fully present and releasing themselves from false identifications. In order to facilitate this shift in consciousness, the narrative stresses the importance of engaging in practices such as meditation, self-inquiry, and non-duality. Final thoughts. In conclusion, this spiritual viewpoint presents a challenge to the conventional interpretations of heaven, hell, God, and the devil. Individuals are encouraged to awaken to their true nature and recognize the oneness that connects all beings, which is suggested by the fact that these narratives are metaphors for states of consciousness. Through the narrative, a transformative approach to spirituality is presented. This is accomplished by understanding God as consciousness, the devil as the ego, and heaven and hell as experiences that occur in the present moment. Irrespective of whether one fully embraces or questions this perspective, the objective is to stimulate curiosity and encourage constructive dialogue concerning the profound ideas of existence and consciousness.